Hi there, I hope everything is great with you. Many years ago, I created one of the first web pages for the Brahma Kumaris in Colombia. It wasn't common at that time, and many people signed up for daily thoughts, articles, and other things we offer. I had no idea what I was doing really. I was just playing around. An amateur at that time, still I am in many ways. But back then, the solution was to be creative, to experiment, to try things, to play with maids, with words. There was freedom in not knowing. Today, decades later, my creativity looks different. It has shifted. Now it's focused more on writing things like this script. And yes, it's still a creative exercise, but not quite the same as before. I remember I used to prepare classes on my way to college, in which I was a professor. These days, I sometimes plan sessions a month in advance. When I first started sharing content on social platforms, I just speak from the heart, no script. Now look at me, writing, editing, reviewing, asking for help from others and from other tools. And no, it's not because of age. I don't believe creativity depends on age or circumstance. I have seen plenty of young people who barely tap into their creative spark and older people who create masterpieces every day. It's something else. We are in a moment, kind of a wave, I hope it's a wave, when creativity itself is being reshaped. And I'm still trying to understand it. What I do know is this. Creativity starts with a spark, a trigger, a need, a reason. Sometimes it's born from silence, from meditation, contemplation. Sometimes it explodes like an eureka. But that spark often crashes into walls. Lack of time, resources, clarity, or even lack of confidence. There are no exact statistics, but I'd say most creative ideas don't survive those first barriers. Maybe half, perhaps more, probably less. But if someone manages to go beyond that, to gather allies, to find support, to make the wall part of that story, then something incredible happens. That spark becomes a fire, and the idea finds breath and rhythm. The dream begins to walk. And yet, sometimes everything is there, perfect situation, all the tools, all the training, and yet creativity just doesn't show up. I remember being in a well-structured, well-founded environment in the north of Brazil. And despite everything being right, creativity felt average. So maybe it's not about having more. In fact, I've often felt that creativity thrives when resources are less, when we are pushed to find new solutions, when the mind has to stretch and there is a gap to cross. But above all, creativity requires honesty. Following both your heart and head, not to impress, to express, and then to try your best to make it real, and not perfect, not polished, just real. Because at its core, creativity is more than a skill. It's a spiritual act. It is a soul movement. Sometimes channels joy, sometimes it heals a pain. Sometimes silence, other times a voice. But it always brings us back to the spark within. Are you creative yet? Take care, see you next week, bye bye, and send this video to other people you feel are struggling or reflecting on creativity. Bye bye.